TF2 maps have always been a strange case for me. If you're a terminally online incel, map might have a different meaning to you. But to everybody else, maps are essential to TF2. Because then you'd have nothing to play on, you silly goose. And some maps are good, some are bad. But there's a lot of maps that are good for a lot of classes, but horrendous for others. An example, Closure. It's great for snipers because there are massive sightlines everywhere. Junction is good for pyros because it's so fucking tight. And basically any CTF maps are good for engineers because there's only one stationary objective to defend. Some people might call this bad game design. I would say shut the fuck up, you neek, it's funny. But which maps are good for Scout? He's not like Engineer who works well in a single game mode, he's meant to be versatile. So I'm going to go through all the main game modes, see which one is best for Scout in each game mode, and then at the end we will see what makes Scout strong on a map. Steel makes me come.
Holy fuck.
Steel is unironically, no joke, the best map in the game, and I wouldn't have thought that if I had not gotten the chance to play it in competitive. And I chose it for a couple of reasons. One, it's not too cramped and it's not too open. Scout works in nearly every point of this map because of the exact level of openness the points each have. On a map like Dust Bowl, the points are either way too open, which is primarily just the first point, making it easier for your enemies to keep their distance, or way too fucking cramped, which leads to you getting bummed by shitloads of spam. In Steel, each area has the exact same amount of space that allows you to use your movement to dodge attacks, but also keeps you close enough to your enemy to be effective. It's a perfect balance that works for most classes, and the closer range classes like Pyro, they can be effective in the close quarter corridors and flank routes. And that brings me on to the biggest reason why Scout is effective on this map. The flank routes. There are so many fucking flank routes, and a lot of times they're ones that very few classes and sometimes only Scout can get through. An example, this massive fucking pit over the E point. The E point leads to every other point on the map, but a lot of classes can only use these flank routes when the other points are capped, which raises the walkways. However, Scout says, lick my balls, people from Boston can jump. I'd like to see you try that. What a fucking Oh, and also, speaking of point E, it can be capped at any time, so the map encourages Scout's back capping ability and his ability to switch from an offensive class to a defensive class when needed, which is loads of fun when you save the game for your team. There's also this little area which I'll let you in on, which allows you to get the drop on people as they're coming in from A. I actually used this in a comp match a couple of times and it actually worked. It's great. Sorry, I know I'm sucking this map off, but I love Steel so much and I would have made a full video on it if fucking Smell Maxo didn't do it right before I was gonna do it. Fuck you, El Maxo, for having the same ideas as me.
Shut up, Sam, you're British.
No, I'm not! By the way, before we continue the video, I just want to say, if you like the video so far, please subscribe because I'm trying to reach 8,000 subscribers before the end of the year. Alright, thanks. Back to the video. CTF maps are fairly linear when it comes to map design, so it's hard to make Scout extremely strong on them, but Double Cross probably is the best for Scout gameplay out of all of them. Well, actually, to be honest, it was between this and Sawmill, but I prefer Double Cross's aesthetic, so fuck Sawmill. I literally live in Ireland, right beside a forest. If I wanted a dreary fucking lumberyard, I'd walk outside, which I know is a foreign idea to TF2 players, but you know, still. Anyway, I think Double Ross beats it out just barely. It's your standard mirror map as per capture the flag law, but there's a couple of things that give Scout the advantage. Firstly, the middle area. The middle bridge is technically very open, however, the playable area puts it in the range of Scout's scattergun and allows you to use his mobility to avoid projectiles. You can also do the TF2 equivalent of breaking someone's ankles by pretending to jump down to the lower bridge, then using your double jump to get back up and shoot them. The bridge also gives Scout a small bit of high ground, which lets you jump down and surprise people like Batman.
Oh yeah.
As for flank routes, it's kind of where the map falls short. It's got the sewer, which is if it's empty, it's really easy to get through quickly compared to something like 2 fort sewers, which are a fucking drag. But if it has anybody in it, fucking forget about it. But you also have the balconies, which you are one of the few classes who can access it from the outside, which gives you a straight line to the other team's intel, or puts you right behind their spawn, which lets you get a few cheeky kills. Other than that, there's nothing majorly special that gives Scout the upper hand. Now, Double Cross isn't a perfect map, far from it. The sniper sightlines are fucking mahoosive, but it is, in my opinion, the capture the flag map that gives Scout the most freedom. Control points are where generalists like Scout flourish. And yet 5CP is one of my least favourite game modes because it's just fucking boring, like. It is always either a complete roll or a complete stalemate. I've never had a game where teams keep pushing each other back and forward. It's always just, alright team, we should push through mid, the left side, and oh, okay, game's over. My personal gripes aside, this was a hard one to choose because the game mode caters to Scout's strength by design. However, I decided to go with Grainery. I know this is going to be a controversial pick because apparently there's a lot of mixed opinions about Grainery in the community, but I'm going to stick by it. However, I will say that Snakewater was a very close second. Grainery is a fairly standard control point map, but the one thing that makes me choose it over all the others is the 2 levels of play. What I mean by that is that nearly every point has high ground and low ground. A lot of other maps have this at the midpoint. An example is Snakewater, which has high ground over the first point, but that's normally what it's restricted to, the midpoint. In Grainery, you nearly always have 2 levels of play, on the ground and on the high ground. And this is good for, you guessed it, Scout's flanking ability. A lot of the time, wherever the main fighting is happening, let's say it's below second, you can use the top level to get behind and backcap the point. That's why you see so many clips of people backcapping on Grainery. And yes, I know that sounds like a normal flank route, but the fact that it's elevated and out of view makes such a difference. People just seem to never notice you. Now, the map still isn't perfect for Scout. The one problem is that the last point is a bit too open with no real cover, which can fuck you over in team fights. However, Grainery also has those funny spots that, yes, let you feel like Batman. Sweden, aka the map that every fucking SFM artist uses to make their edgy anime posters. Hi, I'm here at Ghana Katakana. My whole family was fucking slaughtered when I was 5, so now I travel the world silently with my trusty katana. You're the new kid, right? What? You have a crush on me? Bucka, fucking don't boo me. I know you do this shit. Jokes aside, I've wanted the chance to gloat about this map for ages because it is genuinely my favourite King of the Hill map. The devs of this map were able to make a bright, vibrant TF2 map and yet still make it feel like it fits in TF2, which I have to commend them for. Now, this map is really big for King of the Hill, which I love because a lot of my gripes with King of the Hill maps are that some of them are just tiny. Like, I can barely play Scout on Viaduct just because of how small it is. It's super restrictive to me. But Sweden doesn't have this problem. Not only is it big lengthwise, it is also big height-wise. The large Asian buildings and the pagoda all have walkable roofs, which act similar to Grainery, but since the map is so open, it's a lot easier to get spotted. This flank route on the right side is alright, but it's a bit too close to the point to be considered a flank route for me. But the route on the left, that is where it's at. This route is perfect for Scout. Firstly, the runway up to it isn't just a flat surface, so even with the massive sightlines, snipers won't really be headshotting you. Taking a look inside, it has that perfect size for Scout to be effective in, that I've mentioned previously. And it also has 2 medium health packs here, which has come in handy so many times because Scout needs all the health he can get. Leaving the building also leads straight to the enemy spawn, in a place where you can get the drop on them, but it's not borderline unfair. And as for the point, it's a bit cramped, but you can still defend it thanks to these walls blocking you from the enemy sightline. Just make sure you keep an eye above you. Well, that's all the main game modes. I haven't forgotten a single one. Nope, not one single. Oh yeah, payload. I'll tell you that the best payload map for Scout, in my opinion, is Swiftwater. However, why it is, I'm going to save for another video because I want to talk about Scout's role in payload in great depth, and I just do not have the time to do it in this video, so this will be continued in I don't like leaving a full section out of the video, but I have a lot to say in regards to payload and could probably double the time of this video if I did, so I'm sorry about that. But now that we looked at all the game modes, picked a map from each, what elements of those maps make Scout a strong class? Well, first we have the obvious, the flank routes. However, it's not about the quantity of the flank routes, it's about the quality. What I mean by that? Altitude has a lot of flank routes. However, they're so close to where the main fighting happens that it's hard to use as a flank route. Compare that to Sweden and Steel, which have flank routes that are literally over the other side of the map. Another is the playable area. A massive playable area isn't great for Scout because enemies can easily just get out of his effective range. Neither is a super cramped one because it limits his mobility. You want the medium-sized areas with elevated surfaces so he can dodge projectiles like this area in Snakewater. And finally, you want a map where his mobility is encouraged, where the points are changing constantly, there's backcapping and stuff like that. That's why 5 CP works so well for him, and payload doesn't. All of this information was kinda already known, so why did I make this video? To be honest, I really just wanted a chance to talk about the maps that show off Scout's true potential. But who knows, maybe this helped some map creator who wanted to make a map that's great for Scout and fucks over every other class. Or maybe some player who wants to play maps that are good for Scout because they're bad, skill issue. Either way, you don't need to play on maps like this to be good at Scout. If you keep practicing, you can be good on any map, and maybe, just maybe, get one of those surprise kills.
Hey, shut up.